issues with their plumbing and just repainted their house. I like Philadelphia's infrastructure, their general manager, their line play. So I'll just throw it out. I'm not high on the Cowboys this year. I really like Philadelphia, and I feel like I'm on an island this morning. Your thoughts on that division?
Well, last year, week 16, Dak, Amari, Zeke, the whole gang go into Philadelphia with a must-win game, and they lose to Carson Wentz, Boston Scott, Josh Perkins, Greg Ward, and a cast of guys who are from the pickups on the waiver wire. It's hard to have such great confidence, but here's what the Dallas Cowboys are preaching. New regime, new coach, new feel, everything's going to be different. I am fascinated to see how this Mike McCarthy thing goes, Colin, because look, let's call it like it was. Steve Wilkes and the Arizona Cardinals, led by Josh Rosen, beat Mike McCarthy and the Packers. They fired Mike McCarthy midway through that season, and he was out of work all last year. So we're supposed to believe that all of a sudden Mike McCarthy is going to suddenly become this rejuvenated coach of the year type guy that's going to get them over the hump. It's been all rainbows and sunshine out of Dallas so far this offseason. Everyone is preaching that this is a Super Bowl contender. Let's see if Mike McCarthy is the magic elixir that gets Dak, because yes, they did beat the Cowboys many times when he was the coach of the Green Bay Packers, but there were a lot of people who thought the Cowboys were going to swing far bigger and go a different direction with head coach. But they went with Mike McCarthy, who was in his basement in Green Bay watching film and doing analytics with Jim Haslett all last season. Very interesting team. I am not 100% in on the Cowboys until I see what they look like actually on the field, not just on paper.
You know, it's interesting. You were the first guy, I remember you did it in our Sunday show. You said there's this kid, Patrick Mahomes, and we made fun of you. You were like, he's going to dominate the league. You're not going to believe how good he is. And we were like, oh, Schrags, come on. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, he throws without looking, left-hand passes. It's funny, I said to start the show today, what's scary for the rest of the league, I do feel like I've seen about 90% of what Lamar Jackson is. I think he'll get better. With Mahomes, he was 11th in completion percentage. His last 6 games, he had 8 touchdown passes. He admitted he just learned to read a defense. They were outplayed in long stretches all through the playoffs, and they won the Super Bowl. I feel like they're just scratching the surface. What do we know about Mahomes in this camp and his improvement going forward?
He's incredible. And if you're not a Chiefs fan, or if you like the Raiders, the Broncos, or any of the teams in the AFC that are contending for a Super Bowl this year, you might want to look away, because this isn't going to change. This might not be just a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year deal. They've got him wrapped up for the next 12 seasons. He is the ultimate team player. And here's where things get even harder if you're an opposing fan. When he got his $500 million deal, he got congratulations from everybody. He himself proactively reached out to Deshaun Watson and shared the details of the contract and said, hey, just FYI, if you and your agent are talking, let me help you with how this negotiation went for us. He wants everyone else to get paid also. Unfortunately for other teams, Travis Kelce took what was really an undervalued contract extension this offseason. Sammy Watkins did the same. They paid Chris Jones. They're going to have Tyreek Hill there with McCole Hardman for the next several years. And they add, who Joy Taylor just mentioned, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I think tonight is going to put on an absolute show at Arrowhead. They're not going anywhere. He's so young and so good, and the coaches are all coming back also. I feel like this is a Chiefs infomercial. Well, guess what? This is a happy, fun-loving, and really likable team. It's rare to see them to be the team that everyone's talking about after 50 years of Kansas City not winning a Super Bowl. They're not just going to win it this year. I think we're going to have a few seasons where they're going to be the favorites coming out of the summer camp.
I've said this before. If the Jets aren't good this year, they'll fire Gase. They won't move off Darnold because they really like Darnold. He's been mature. He's been a gamer. It's Gase with some of the baggage. If Baker struggles this year, they were in the same draft class, I think a lot of people in the building bail on Baker. Some maturity issues, called out the medical staff, been hot and cold. And I think that's the value and the importance of maturity. You get a second and a third chance if people in the room feel like, hey, it's not all your fault. So let's dial in on Baker. This is his 4th coach, his 3rd head coach. I do feel like he faces real pressure. They just have too good of weapons not to be an elite offense. Am I hating, or is that fair?
No, it's fair. And Colin, these aren't just new coaches. And you could say, oh, well, Kitchens wasn't really the guy and he wasn't ready for it. Baker had a big say in Kitchens being the guy. So look, he's had offensive coaches, Todd Haley, Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens. Last year, there was other offensive. Now you get Stefanski, who is an Ivy League guy who has done it for one team, the Minnesota Vikings, and had a lot of success for more than a decade. And in comes Kevin Stefanski with Alex Van Pelt, who was with Aaron Rodgers. There are like no more excuses. These are two really well-respected offensive minds that will be in his ear, and both are professionals. The entire summer, the key thing with the Cleveland Browns is that they have not been in the headlines. There has not been any hype. And I can tell you from talking to folks there, Baker has been very serious about football and not very serious about whatever else is going on off the football field. It's been all about ball. But if it doesn't work out this year with all the talent on the roster and them hiring a new coach and bringing in a new system and them feeling like now it's finally a professional environment for him, I wouldn't be shocked if they said, okay, Baker, like it's not going to be next year, but maybe the year after we'll talk contract negotiations then. I think Mayfield does bounce back, but the AFC North is loaded. Ben is healthy. Joe Burrow's really good. And the Ravens aren't going anywhere. So that's a very interesting team right now.
You know, it's funny. Todd Bowles doesn't have a big personality. So when he coached the Jets, at times he felt a little misplaced or overwhelmed. But he made their defense better. And last year at the end of the year, Tampa's defense was nails. And I've said my prediction for Tampa this year, the defense leads the offense in September. It won't be Brady. He'll be working his way through a lot of different pieces. And then I think by Thanksgiving, it's like, oh, these weapons are good and they're rolling. I think Tampa Bay is going to be really good. I think we're overthinking it. I think Arians Bowles' second year of the system. But when you talk to people around the league, what are their one or two concerns about this Tampa Bay all-star team on offense?
Yeah, the concerns are the defensive backfield, which offhand, a lot of people won't know names like Antoine Winfield Jr. and Jamel Dean and Sean Bunting Murphy. These are the starting corners and starting defensive backs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So as much as we want to go ooh and ah about Gronk and Godwin, at some point, those defensive backs who have been untested in big games are going to be going up against Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. The other piece might be the offensive line, just that Brady hasn't played behind these guys, and that takes a while. But Colin, I'll come on your show right now and I'll tell you, I got them going to the Super Bowl. I think the Buccaneers are going to be awesome this year. And I think one of the reasons I'm so high on the Bucs is not just the offensive side of the ball, it's their front seven. Levante David's one of the best linebackers in football. We never talk about him. Devin White is a second-year player at LSU. He's going to have a huge breakout season. Shaq Barrett, JPP, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh, they're loaded. They really are loaded. And they had the number one defense over the final month of the season last year, and that was with Jameis Winston throwing 30 touchdowns. I finally also look at it this way. No fans in the stadium. And if there are fans, let's say it's 10,000 to 16,000 to start it off. Brady at the line of scrimmage at the Superdome on Sunday, and you're going to have Joe and Troy and Aaron. They're all going to be there, but there won't be any fans. There'll be 70 decibels of sound. I don't even know what that means, but it's not going to be drowning them out. Brady every week can sit at the line of scrimmage with no fans against him on these opposing stadiums, do it at his cadence, at his pace, call out what he wants, isolate what he needs. It's going to be like practice for this guy against defenses that have not seen this offense ever. There will be no film on it. So everyone's taking the Saints, and I hear what Joy was saying, say she's all in on the Saints. I don't know. The Saints kind of had a weird offseason, didn't they? I feel like Drew Brees was put through the crosshairs quite a bit this offseason too.